Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Patrice Buckner Jackson, but you can call me PBJ. Welcome to another episode of the Love Always PBJ podcast, where we are disrupting cycles of burnout for people who do their work from the heart. And my friends, that's you. You are heart workers. You are people who do your work because you're called to it, because it's your purpose, because it is your identity, not because we're chasing money or chasing promotions or chasing anything else. And you are my people. And I'm glad you are here, because when you work like that, it costs you something. And you got to go somewhere that you can be replenished, that you can be equipped, that you can be cared for, that you can be poured into, so that you can go out and do the work that you're called to do while also living the life you desire. So I'm so glad you all are here. Before we get into this episode, this 24th episode, I need to remind you that this episode is sponsored by my new ebook, The Myth of Balanced Time, the secret for managing competing priorities. Listen, friends, this book is all about your task. And I know that that's important to us. It was important to me. How do I get all this stuff done? Before I could dig deeper and start with me and do all the things, I had to figure out how to get some stuff done. So if you are in a place where you got more tasks than time and you're constantly juggling the important things and can't afford to miss anything, you need to go get this ebook. So go to mythofbalancedtime.com. Again, mythofbalanced with an ed time.com. Go get the ebook, $15. It'll help you real good. Okay. All right, y'all. And as always, you need to be following me on Instagram at Dr. Patrice Buckner Jackson, at Dr. Patrice Buckner Jackson. That's where you will get your spoonful of PBJ every Monday, and every announcement that I have coming out. Definitely join me on Instagram. And y'all, let's get into this episode. So today we are talking about how burnout has nothing to do with your to-do list. Hang on in there with me. I know you're looking at me crazy. I know you're saying, now, wait a minute, PBJ, because I know that I got a lot going on and it is wearing me out. I get that. And most of the conversations about time and about burnout and about managing our tasks starts with the task, and it starts with the people. But as we discussed in episode 23, we really need to start with you, because if we only manage your task, if we only look at the people you need to serve, then your life will continue to be run by other people and your to-do list. So we've got to start with you. And in starting with you, I need you to know that your burnout has nothing to do with your to-do list. I got to tell you a story. So I shared with you all how I found myself after 20 years of working in my career. I had hit rock bottom of burnout to the point that I didn't feel like I had anything else to give. And I literally walked in one day with no notice and said, I'm not coming back tomorrow. Now, that is not something that I expected to do ever. I'm a rule follower. I do not step outside the lines. I like rules. They make me feel safe. So I am not a risk man or a risk taker. I'm very much a people pleaser. So I would never do anything. Well, used to, child. I'm getting delivered. But back in the day, I would never do anything that would make somebody else angry. But that is how low I had gotten. That's how drastic it was. I literally felt like I was either going to quit my job or be hospitalized. Honestly, that's exactly where I was. And when I think back to how I got to that place, because I've had some time now. It's been over a year, and of course I'm back in my career, and God is good. Things are going well. But when I've spent some time thinking through, how did I get there? How did I get to this point? Because I've learned how to manage tasks. So I implemented all the things for managing tasks, but that still wasn't my answer. That still didn't stop me from hitting rock bottom of burnout. So what was it for me? And here's what I learned. And this is the secret that I want to share with you all today. Burnout is born out of living out of alignment. Let me say that one more time. Burnout is born out of living out of alignment. Alignment with your purpose, alignment with your values, alignment with your energy, alignment with your motivation, alignment with your priorities, alignment with your sacrifices. Burnout is born out of living out of alignment with yourself. When I was in that position that I resigned from, I told you I had worked 20 years and worked my way up. I had worked my way up to the position, to the place that I had been working towards, and got all the things that came along with it. But as I look back on it and I think about it now, I was trying to do who I am and be my purpose in the position that they needed me to be in. So let me explain that. What the position that I had, and this is at work, but it can be any position in your life. The position that I had did not align with who I am. And I was trying to be who I am and do the pieces I needed to do while also doing the pieces that they needed me to do. And I was trying to fit all of those pieces in together, and it did not fit. It did not fit. And it literally drove me to the place that I had nothing more to give. So the position, it was an executive position. And in executive positions, you've got to spend some time making decisions. You spend a lot of time in a lot of meetings around the board table, working through things, having conversations. You've got to do a lot of negotiating. You've got to do a lot of politics and all of that good stuff. And it is necessary work. Somebody's got to do it. In order for the company or the organization to run well, somebody's got to do that work. Somebody has to be at the helm, leading the way, advocating for the people, pushing agendas forward. Somebody has to do it. So I was hired into that position, but my purpose, my shine, my magic is to be boots on the ground with the people. So I work in higher education. My gift is to walk this thing through with my students. My gift is to be there when they're in the midst of crisis. My gift is to know the people, know their life, know their challenges, and walk through it with them. That's what I'm good at, not just with my students, but with my staff, to be hand in hand with them and help them through and walk them through and figure things out together. That is what God created me to do. And what I've learned is no matter what facet of life I'm in, that's what I do. I'm a problem solver. I'm a crisis manager. I'm going to get you through it. I told y'all before that I'm the friend you call when life is going rough. Okay. I'm not necessarily the person that's just going to chat on the phone with you for an hour about nothing. Y'all, I've tried. I'm not good at it. I'm not good at it. I don't do it well. I'm not the friend that's necessarily just going to be hanging out at the mall, or first of all, my life is not built that way. So I don't get to do a whole lot of that. And I am working to make more time for my friendships. So don't get me wrong. Me and my girlfriends, we're planning some time together, especially after things open up after the pandemic. We're planning some time together, and I can do specifically timed, planned events like that. I can do that. But I'm not necessarily the person that's just gonna be there and text and call all day long. That's not who I am. But if you're in trouble, if you got trouble, if you're in a crisis, if things are going wrong, if things are going bad, I'm your person. I'm your sis. I'm your girl. I'm the person to call because I'm good at working through those things. This is not a brag at all. This is me finally acknowledging the gift that God put on the inside of me. This is me finally acknowledging and putting the pieces together and understanding that all of the seasons of my life now make sense. This is me understanding that even as a child, there were times as a child that I felt like I was stepping into place to help adults through some things, but that's just who I am. That's what I do. And I didn't know it until recently. I wasn't able to put all of my pieces together. And that's why I always say, don't go chasing purpose. You don't have to chase it. It's not lost. It is right in front of you. We just need to acknowledge it. We need to notice it. We need to recognize it. Because when I look back over my life, the breadcrumbs have always been there. I've always been the person to call when you're in crisis. I've always been the person to call to make a plan to help you put things in order, to know how to get from A to Z. I've always been the person to do life with you. To do life with you. I think back even outside of work in ministry. I think about all the single moms that I've stood beside when they didn't have anybody else. I think about even my students. I was able to be in the labor room with more than one of them. More than one of my students, I was able to be in the room when they had their babies because they wanted that support. I was able to be at the funeral of their loved one or their parent holding their hand because they wanted me to be there. Again, this is not a brag. This is me, and that's nothing to brag about, but this is me acknowledging who I am and what I bring. And I know now that the position that I accepted it. The position that I accepted was out of alignment with who I am. And anytime you're doing something that is out of alignment with who you are, it is going to lead you quickly to overwhelm and eventually to burnout. And that's how it works. And that's how it happens. I was the person that was always trying to fit in to what other people wanted me to do. I would always try to figure out, what does this person want? What does this person want? What does this boss look for? What does this parent need? What does this preacher or this pastor want from me? And as I've learned what each person need, I tried to fit the mold of what each person needed. And the more people that I gathered or collected in my life, the harder it was to be everything to everybody. None of us were called to be everything to everybody. We were called to be ourselves, to bring our gifts, to bring who we are to every relationship and interaction in our lives. And when we work to try to be everything to everybody, we're living out of alignment and we lead ourselves to burnout. I was living out of alignment with my own values. You cannot live out of alignment with your own values and continue to do so. It's not sustainable. You will pay a cost for that. So I've told y'all my values are faith, family, and health. And in faith, family, and health, at the busier I got trying to chase what other people wanted me to do, the things that fell away first were those values. The things that I lost, the things that were weakened, the things that faded away were those values. So I've told you all before, I struggled in my relationship with God. I struggled in my faith. Always believed him. Never stopped believing him. I'll never stop loving him. But I did stop reading like I should. I did stop praying like I should, devotion like I should, because busy was taking over my life. So that thing that is most important to me, I was missing. I was missing because I was sacrificing it to do something else. So faith was struggling. Family was struggling. There are still family members to this day. To this day, there are still family members to this day that I have to go back and make amends with, or I'm working to make amends and rebuild our relationship. Not because I don't love them, not because they're not significant to me, but I allowed burnout, I allowed busy to come and interfere with our relationships. They just assume, well, she's too busy. If I call, she's not going to answer anyway. Can I just be real? Can I just be honest? So after a period of time, people got used to not calling me. They got used to not hanging out with me. They got used to not speaking to me. So now I have nieces and nephews that I have to go back and reestablish or establish my relationships with them because I've been gone so long. I've been separated so long because I spent so much time chasing what everybody wanted me to be. I lost what was most important to me. When it comes to health, y'all, I got a battle in front of me. I have a battle in front of me when it comes to health, all preventative, all things that I can prevent, all things that I can improve by making better choices. But of course, now I have allowed it to get so far down the road that I got to work harder to get where I need to be, because I sacrificed. I sacrificed the things that meant the most to me. Burnout will always come for what means most to you. So we've got to figure out, how do we live our life in alignment in order to avoid overwhelm, in order to avoid burnout, in order to be everything we're called to be? How do we live our lives in alignment? Well, first, you got to know what you're aligning to. You have to know what you're aligning with. What are your values? What are your values? Not necessarily what was passed down to you. Maybe there are some good values passed down to you and you truly believe them at your core and you want to apply them in your own life. If they are that real to you, then yes. Don't just adopt what was given to you because papa or grandma or daddy said it. Make sure that those values are your personal values, that you believe them and you know why you believe them, and you believe them enough that they are non-negotiable. When I'm talking values, I'm talking about this is not up for discussion. I will not lose this. I will not sacrifice this. When I say family, I mean, at the end of the day, you can strip every title, you can take the money, you can do whatever you want to do. But when it comes down to Rev J and baby girl, I ain't never losing that. I will not allow it to happen. I will not allow my family to be destroyed or to be dissolved or be disconnected or torn apart for anything. And again, I can only do my part. They are individuals. They have to do their part as well. But when it comes to PBJ, I am going to make sure that I passionately protect my family connections from now on. Non-negotiable. Not trying to hear it. No discussion. It is what it is. Where do you draw your line? Where do you draw your line? I'm not willing to sacrifice my health anymore. I am not willing to be a martyr physically or emotionally for anything other than Christ and Him crucified and my family. That's where I draw the line. Y'all, in the past, I would have never spoken this strongly. I would have never drawn my line this strongly, but I have learned that drawing that line protects me. I have learned that in order to live in alignment, I got to stand for something or I fall for everything. So I encourage you to find out what you're willing to stand for if everything else fails. If nothing else works out, if you have to sacrifice it all and give it all up, what are you willing to stand for? What are you willing to fight for? What is non-negotiable on your list? You got to determine what those values are. Once you determine what those values are, then you have got to make sure you have methods to support those values. So we talk about creating boundaries, but you can't create a boundary unless you know what's important to you. So you must establish your values first. And after you establish your values, then how are you going to protect those values? So what boundaries are you going to put in place so that you may protect those boundaries? So one of the boundaries that I have set is that when it's family time, it's family time. So not work email, not videos, not whatever. When it's family time, it's family time. When it's one-on-one time with my husband, it's one-on-one time. And I've got to draw that line because there are so many distractions that come in our lives and so easily to swipe away the seconds, minutes, hours that we can spend that time with our family. So what is your line? Another line for me is first thing in the morning belongs to God. My early morning belongs to Him. I'm not going to give it to work. I'm not going to give it to other things anymore. First thing, the first belongs to Him. So I'm drawing that line. When I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, that's his time. I'm not willing to give that to my career. I'm not willing to give that to my business. I'm not willing to give that even to family members. That time is God's time. I need to put him first. And as I put him first, I am protected. These are my values. And my values, when I create boundaries around my values, I am protected. I don't find myself trying to fit in to somebody else's box for me. I am living in alignment with who I am in my heart, and my mind is protected. My emotions are protected. My spirit is protected, and my body is protected when I live in alignment with my values. So you've got to know what you believe, why you believe it, where it came from. And then you got to put some boundaries in place, draw a line to protect those values. Remember, I told you it's like the walls of an ancient city. When you approach those walls, you can't just infiltrate. You can't just come in. You've got a barrier that says, this is how far I'm willing to go. This is what I'm going to allow into my life. This is not what I'm going to allow into my life. And I'm not saying that we should not be submissive to our leaders. I'm not saying that we should not serve well at work. I would never tell you that. I believe we are to serve well. We are to serve the mission. We are to serve our leaders. I believe that. And it has proven well in my life to be a good follower and to serve well. I wholeheartedly believe in serving well. But I do not believe that compromise is serving well. Compromise is always going to cost you. Compromising that which means most to me is no longer an option. And you've got to know what means most to you to know where to draw that line. So, friends, your burnout has nothing to do with your to-do list. Your burnout comes from living out of alignment with your values. You got to know what those values are, know where they came from, why you believe it, and then you got to put some boundaries around each of those values. It will protect you. It will protect your heart, your mind, your soul, your spirit, and your body if you have your life in alignment with your values. So I hope this was helpful for you today. I hope you will spend some time exploring your personal values. Spend some time thinking about, what are my non-negotiables? What hills am I willing to die on? What are the things that there's no option, no discussion? It is what it is. This is where I stand. What do you stand for? What do you stand for? After you identify those things, then you can move into the realm of learning how you can live your life in alignment and avoid overwhelm, avoid burnout, and serve and live the best life that you can, because you know where your lines are. Okay, friends? Listen, I hope you got something out of this. It's something that I'm learning every day. I'm getting better and better at it every day. So I appreciate you all taking this journey with me and discovering this together. I hope that you will subscribe and download and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. It helps the podcast, but also it helps me prepare for you and have better conversations with you. So leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking, and I'll be looking for it, okay? Don't you ever forget that you are powerful, you are significant, and you are loved. Love always. PVJ.